Hey everybody, this is Beyond Range, and today we're going to be making a video and we're going to talk about leveling. Now, there's a famous hand from the Tom Dwan Heads Up Challenge that he played against a man named Sammy George. And at the beginning of this hand, he raised to 6 times the big blind. Now, the game was playing a 7 deuce bounty, and poker, one of the skills is leveling. There are many other skills in poker, but to be able to identify the way that your opponent thinks, and then to be one step ahead and understand their logic, is one of the most important skills as you move up in stakes, because the lower stakes players are often not playing fundamentally well. So simply by you playing mathematically correct, you will win against their mistakes. And in fact, the exploits against their large, predictable, strategic blind spots are not difficult to attack. But as you move up, poker really becomes a game of thinking about your opponent's psychology and actually your mind being able to understand your opponent's mind better than they understand yours. So we're going to actually work on this through using a tool which is a toy game, which game theorists have been using for a very long time, and it's called rock, paper, scissors. It's also a game that I've been playing since I was a child, and it's a game that I enjoy very much because there's nowhere to hide. In fact, each decision is basically a death, is basically you directly reading your opponent's soul. Now, in this hand between Tom Dwan and Sammy George, Tom Dwan, some say, actually read Sammy George's soul. So we're going to take a look at the hand. Now, again, there was a 7 deuce bounty here, and Tom Dwan was dealt 7 deuce, and the blinds were 500, 1,000. Pre-flop, Tom Dwan raised to 6,000, and his opponent called. And his opponent had ace-6 offsuit. At this point, Tom Dwan announced that he had 7-2. And Sammy George said, "You don't have 7-2. I don't believe you." Because in the 7 deuce game, one of the ways that you can make money with your value is by raising massive. If you have a hand like pocket aces or kings, you can go huge. And you can level your opponent into believing that actually you have 7-2. So when they have a medium hand like pocket tens, king, queen suited, they're very inclined to continue because they don't believe that you actually are going to have enough strong hands. They think that you're trying to win the bounty. The bounty is 10 big blinds to take it down pre-flop. So Tom Dwan says this, and he tries to win the pot immediately. He bets about 5/6 pot, and Sammy George flopped 2 pair, and he decides to check raise to 27,000. Now, in this situation, when you raise to 6x and you get a call, and then you c-bet quite large on ace jack 6 mono, and you get raised, it looks like you yourself are quite strong, like you have hands like ace king, you have hands like pocket jacks. It doesn't look like someone wants to bluff raise into you. It's a very strong maneuver from Sammy. But Tom Dwan decides to float because he thinks that calling is higher expected value than folding. And there could be many reasons why he thinks that's the case. Maybe it has to do with his perception of Sammy's raising range. Maybe he thinks that Sammy is raising too many marginal hands that will fold later to a lot of aggression, given how deep they are. They're roughly 400k effective, a little bit more to start the hand. Now on the turn, Sammy check raises the flop and then checks. And Tom Dwan, after he floated the flop check raise, he bets 48,000. And Sammy George has 2 pair here, but he has to be aware that in heads up, Tom Dwan can have a lot of hands that contain 2 hearts. Now, he's also a recreational player, so he might not be ranging his opponent and thinking with 10-2 offsuit raise to 6,000. With 5-2 suited, raise to 6,000 preflop. It's unlikely that he's at the level of being able to range people. He's very likely to look at his hand and then simply come up with ideas of what his opponent has, but he's unlikely to be able to sequence the range and narrow it action by action in as skilled of a manner as a professional would be able to. So Tom Dwan doesn't have to think that much about what he's representing. He really has to be able to predict how his opponent is going to react. And Tom Dwan gets to this turn and he may think that his opponent is simply raising too many hands like ace-10, ace-9 offsuit, maybe ace-queen. Maybe he didn't 3-bet ace-king. Now he can have a lot of flushes as well. He could have ace-jack. He could have ace-6. He could have jack-6 suited, etc. But he declines to bet the turn. And at this point, Tom Dwan is going to go for it. And Sammy George goes with the call on the turn. And the river is a 3. The river is a blank here. And at this point, Tom Dwan raised 6x preflop. He's bet the flop. He's called a check raise. Once check 2 on the turn, he's bet very large and he's been called again and he gets to a river. And Tom Dwan can have hands like pocket aces. He can have hands like pocket jacks. He can have king queen of hearts. He can have king 10 of hearts. In fact, if he was doing this with his entire racing range, which he wasn't, but in the recreational's mind, he could potentially range Tom Dwan to have a lot of different flushes. Now, Tom Dwan's line seems extremely full of shit, because it doesn't seem like Tom Dwan would decide to go all in this situation with any, like if he had pocket aces, right? Sammy is likely to actually end up having quite a few flushes in this action sequence. When he calls 6x pre, he check raises flop, he checks turn, he calls. Recreationals are not always thinking about betting the turn when they have a flush, but sometimes they feel tricky when they bet with a flush on the turn after they raise the flop and they get a fold. It makes them feel bad. But when they check and their opponent puts more money in, or they're able to put a river bet in and get called, they feel good. They feel like they've not made a mistake. You see, and this is one type of recreational player. It might have been the way that Sammy was approaching it, but the point is that Tom Dwan's minimum value in this situation is actually not really worthy of being a set. He really needs to have a good flush or better in this spot, and not very many suited hearts would raise pre. But he is not thinking about what he's representing, you see. He's identified that his opponent is simply going to call or fold based on their hand strength. What do I have? So this is going to be the approach. And Tom Dwan decides to go all in. And Sammy George elects to fold. You see, and Tom Dwan actually collects the $10,000 bounty as well. So poker, the skill is in leveling. And we're going to spend some time, a little bit of time, looking at one of the ways that you can train your logic and get better at leveling, which is rock, paper, scissors, which is very direct. Because if you bluff one hand, and your opponent calls you and he sees that you bluffed, the weak player might automatically assume that you are a bluffer and he will call you with a bluff catcher the next time. But you see, a stronger opponent might realize that you just bluffed the last time and that you might expect him to call because you think that he's going to expect you to think you're a bluffer. You see, so therefore he actually folds. But imagine you get to the next level, where they know that you just bluff the next time, and therefore you think that the bluff is actually going to be more credible, etc. You can go on and on and on, and you can think that your opponent is good enough to fold because he knows that you bluffed last time and he doesn't think you're going to bluff the next time. And you can flip it back. Rock, paper, scissors is the same. If you threw rock the last time and you beat his scissors Does your opponent expect you to throw rock again to beat his scissors again? Does your opponent expect you to think that he's going to throw scissors that just lost again? What is happening? This is a game of psychology, so we're going to play a short match. So on beyondrange.org, there are a lot of free tools that you can use. And the tool that we're going to look at today is a tool that helps us with leveling. So we're going to play a quick match. There's actually a career mode where you can play and have an entire season of rock, paper, scissors versus some extremely strong bots. And I've not been able to win a championship yet because the bots are too good. Basically, they're multiple different agents that are predicting different patterns that you have. But the point is that today we're going to play a quick match. Play versus Spirit. We're going to play one of the bots, only 25 throws, and we're going to see if we can understand their logic quickly. So we don't know which they're doing rock, paper, scissors. I don't think the first one really matters very much. They threw paper the first time. Now, if they threw paper the first time, right, and we threw scissors and we beat them, if they're trying to beat our last throw, rock would beat our last throw of scissors, right? Rock beats scissors. Therefore, if we thought they were going to throw rock, we would want to throw paper. So we're going to guess and see if that is actually the case. But in fact, they threw paper. Again, 2 times in a row, which is a little bit scary because then the idea that they're trying to beat our last throw is no longer the case. We threw paper this time, but they didn't try to beat our last throw this time. And if they were, they would throw scissors, and then we would throw rock to beat scissors, but they didn't. They threw paper twice. We also went from scissors to paper, and they might expect us to go to rock, and if they were expecting us to go to rock, they might use paper. So I'm going to use scissors and see if we can counter their potential paper move. So they did do paper again. Now they've done paper 3 times in a row. They may assume that we're going to try to play scissors again and beat their paper. So I'm going to throw rock because they may try to counter our potential. Maybe not. So if they, my logic was incorrect actually, because if they are expecting us to throw scissors to beat their if they're expecting us to throw scissors to beat their paper, then they would throw rock, and then therefore we should throw paper. So let's throw paper to beat their rock. See if that works. Oh, they've thrown paper again. Now let's just throw scissors again and try to attack them. Oh no! Damn it. That's incorrect. So they actually threw rock this time, assuming that we were going to go to scissors. Now are they going to do that again? They've been throwing a lot of paper. After they threw rock last time, you have to wonder, are they going to go back to paper? We've been throwing a lot of scissors. You see, red is representative of scissors. And their sequence has been paper, 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 rock. If we throw scissors, let's throw scissors again and see if they throw rock again. So they don't throw rock again. In fact, they went to scissors. I'm going to throw rock and see if I can beat a potential scissors. But they actually beat us. They threw paper. I might throw scissors and they might throw rock and beat me because they might predict that I'm trying to counter their paper again. It's very possible, but they did throw paper again. I'm going to throw paper this time. I'm going to throw paper this time because I think they might go to rock trying to beat our scissors. They stayed at paper. Oh, and now they went to rock. I see. My ego is being smashed because I cannot beat a robot at rock, paper, scissors. I've not understood. They might go to scissors this time. They did go to scissors this time. It felt like they were going to play scissors. And it feels like they're going to play paper this time. Oh no, they didn't. Damn. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what to do, to be honest. What do you think? Do you have a guess? I'm genuinely not really finding a pattern, but some people that are better at leveling and pattern recognition than myself likely would have an idea right now. I'm experiencing a lot of confusion and fear and a little bit of frustration. But I'm gonna throw paper. This is the reason is because I've thrown a lot of scissors, and he might try to throw rock as a counter to my frequent scissors, and therefore I'm gonna throw paper because I don't really know what's going on. And now he threw scissors and beat my paper. I'm gonna throw paper again to see if he'll double do scissors or not. Because I think it's less likely he would stay on scissors twice, given that I was going to say because I'm throwing a lot of scissors, but then if I throw a lot of scissors, scissors is quite safe, given I haven't thrown much rock. I don't know what his logic is. I don't know if he's leveling sequentially or if he's looking at the global frequency or what the deal is, but he threw rock. I'm going to throw rock. Oh my god, he beat me. Jesus. I'm going to throw paper and see what happens. I'm going to throw paper again and see what happens. I'm going to throw paper again. Do you go to scissors or not? Now you go to scissors, don't you? Oh, you stayed at paper. My friend. Now you go to rock. You're killing me. Oh, you're really, really one step ahead. I'm actually quite embarrassed. This is extremely sad because I thought I would have done well, maybe, but very clearly I don't understand the logic. What do I look like? So this has been the sequence of my actions. I'm gonna stay at paper and hope he goes to rock. Okay. I'm gonna play his last move this time. Oh, he beat me. Okay. Well, that was the match. And I'm kind of pissed off right now, to be honest. I don't like being... I mean, I know robots are obviously way smarter. I mean, they have literally computing power, and I just have a chimpanzee brain. But, like, you know, still, I'm pretty pissed off. Because I was genuinely trying pretty hard. Okay. Anyways. So... there's a season mode that you can play as well, and I think it's extremely challenging. And then there's there's the playoffs as well, and I think it's extremely challenging. There's a lot of different opponents, and I just keep losing, to be honest, because I think like robots and rock paper scissors, and when you get bots that just predict exactly what you're doing, I think it's hard to stay one step ahead. But if you can beat them, I'd like you to tell me how. Anyways, this is Beyond Range, and I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.